Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Methanol Madness, brought to us by Daltons Landscape Supplies. You can see I've got AJ back in the studio for the first time this season. AJ, welcome mate, you've been travelling around the world.
Yeah, not quite the world mate, but it's always great to be home.
Well, with just a couple of weeks to go for opening night, I'm sure you're looking forwards to that. Also joining us on the video link, as usual, Louise Smith. Good to see you, Louise, and a bit of racing happening up in Nelson, I see.
Yeah, while the rest of us were stuck at home with no Speedway, it was cool to see some cars get some valuable lap time up at Nelson.
Yeah, we're certainly getting close now with all tracks running some of their practices, and I noticed that the quarter midgets and TQs, which we'll cover later on, were racing in Nelson. A pretty frustrating day on Saturday, AJ. We were going out to practice, but that nor'wester really kicked in, didn't it, mate? And certainly put pay to any practice.
Yeah, I actually flew back into Christchurch on Saturday morning, and it was like a thrill ride in a theme park. It was one hell of an arrival. When I got out to the racetrack, everyone had gone, but the way those big old pine trees were waving around, absolutely there was only one decision that could be made, and it was the right one. Yeah, certainly the club cancelled that pretty early with 140 km/h winds coming through, and if you're driving a wing car going into the corner, you don't want to be having that behind you for sure. Well, time to move on to Crash of the Week, and this is brought to us by Elite Re-Roofing, Mike Bell and his crew. If you need a new roof, that's certainly the company to see, Elite Re-Roofing. AJ, this Crash of the Week comes from last year. It was December when we had Oscar Harcourt and Max Guilford going toe-to-toe, and they were building up to the New Zealand Sprint Car Champs, and it was Oscar Harcourt that come off worst here, mate. How did you see it? Well, to me, it's just a genuine old scrap for a bit of real estate there. Max did seem to come down towards the middle of the track there, and well, what was sitting there? It was Oscar Harcourt and that wheel-to-wheel contact, and boy, what a bell ringer that was for Oscar.
Yeah, it certainly showed me a couple of things actually. Not a very pleasant situation for Oscar tipping that car up, and if I remember rightly, he actually tipped it up 3 times that night. He had a heck of a run, and he's one of the best drivers we've ever come across. But the thing that was important at that moment was that he was prepared to take the gap if it was there, and not many drivers can do that. So that's a good sign for Oscar, but I'm sure Martin didn't like paying the bill afterwards.
Yeah, well, you know, he was going for it, and that's the thing, and that's what comes with a little bit of experience, is that, you know, you're very prepared to chance your arm and go for it, pin your ears back, and, you know, sometimes hero, sometimes zero.
Well, time to take a quick break now, and after the break we'll catch up with the Access Man Midget Car Championship.
Welcome to Wellington's largest caravan and RV shop. CB Caravans and RV Centre look after repairs and maintenance, and they are leak specialists. CB Caravans and RV Centre import UK caravans. Need to sell? They can help. CB Caravans and RV Centre, your caravan solution. Catch up with Will and Wendy today. The team at Edge Parts and Performance have got safety covered. They're proud stockists of Simpson safety products, helmets, head and neck restraints, harnesses, racing suits, gloves, shoes and more. Simpson safety products provide an unparalleled level of comfort, performance and protection. Come and check out their new range of Simpson suits, lightweight 2-layer SFI approved suits that offers flexibility and functionality all in one. They've also got the Red Devil carbon fibre lightweight racing helmet in stock.
And welcome back. Good to see all those parts going out of Edge Parts and Performance as usual, and Boothie's as busy as ever. AJ, time to move on to the Access Man Midget Car Championship, and I thought we might just review this a little bit. What are your thoughts of this championship? It's probably a bit early now to pick up some of the favoured runners. No one's actually had a few laps around the track, but how do you see the championship going this year?
Look, I think that Ruapuna is absolutely the perfect venue for it. The club is well proven in running quality events, and in fact the championships over probably the last 15 years that Ruapuna have run have been of a very, very high standard, if not setting the standard for other tracks to aspire for. The last 2 or 3 times we've had the New Zealand Midget Car Championship, the track's offered up 2 or 3 lanes, and so, you know, that there I think will be the absolute special ingredient that we can get. And, you know, what more can you want than the current South Island champion Max Guilford, who's going to spend a little bit of time down here. You've got Michael Pickens going for number 11, and then you've got Brad Mosen, who was so unlucky not winning last year. And Mosen runs Ruapuna very, very well. Looking forward to that. And then you've got a whole bunch of young guns. It is going to be an absolute barn burner of a weekend.
I agree, and the idea that Ruapuna can run a championship well, they've proven that being the Sprint Car Championship last year, which was the event of the year, voted on by all the speedways in the country. And certainly the way they're running things at the moment, it's going to be a great weekend. Now, of course, that's on the 3rd and 4th of February, folks. If you want to mark that off in your calendar, you really need to get down here. Just to pick up your point on that championship from last year, how exciting was it to see Michael Pickens win his 10th championship with 1 lap to go? I know it was Heartbreak Hotel for Brad Mosen, but how good is that guy?
Oh, Michael Pickens, he is the top shelf in New Zealand speedway racing, and some of us go back a long, long way. Barry Butterworth, Trevor Morris, guys like that, Ted Tracy. But Ted Tracy himself says Michael Pickens is the best. And it'll be tough for Pickens to win down here. The bar is set high, but then you start looking at the Hodgsons and Max Guilford and young Inslee, all these kids starting to come through, and they're really good. And then you got guys with a few laps under their belt, like Peter Honeybell. You would not write drivers like that off, and Hayden Guptill. It's going to be an absolute ripper.
Yeah, well, people forget Honeybell was an ex-New Zealand champion, and so he's certainly capable of taking another title. But joining us on the line is Max Guilford, the current South Island champion and 3NZ title holder. Max, welcome to the show, buddy. You've got a very big season ahead. We might talk about the midget car racing initially. Are you going to be coming down for the title?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show tonight, guys. We'll definitely be there for the title. We'll be running the midget down there a wee bit beforehand too, just to get our package together and working with my new crew chief Mitch and just making sure we're 100% prepared for a good shot at the title, because running 3rd twice now is a bit hard to take. So hopefully we can knock Brad and Michael off the top step.
Well, you probably heard us talking about that race. You were in that race, of course, and you probably had the best view of the house to see what was going on. What did you make of it? Can you reflect on someone like Michael Pickens without sort of being too bothered about where you got in that race?
It was cool to see Michael win his 10, and for Brad to lead most of that race, to end it on the last lap, and lap traffic probably would hurt the most out of anything, knowing that you were so close to doing it for Greenie and those guys. But I think for us running 3rd there, we ran 2nd for a lot of the race, and I don't feel like we had a very good car to run 2nd or even 3rd. We struggled a lot that night for a car we'd tested the night before in Wanganui and brought up here, really unknowing what was going to happen. And we were pretty fast out of the box, like if you look at it on a piece of paper and lap times or whatnot, but we just never really had the feel of the car all night long. So to run 3rd again, I feel is like a good result for our team, and it was a great result for Michael and Brad as well. So.
Yeah, well, it went down in history because it was Michael's 10th, and it was a peculiar night because they had to shorten the whole event up and run the whole championship on one day, which was actually a good decision in the end because the weather was diabolical, a prediction for the next day. But it was a hell of a long day for you guys. What time did you finish the whole championship?
I think we wrapped up at about midnight there, and we sat in the club rooms. There was the 3 tables with us sitting in the club rooms at the end, and Michael said he was going to go to Bay Park to run the sprint car the next night. We were like, we'll do that too. So we got packed up, drove off back to Auckland, and I think we got back to Auckland 5 or 6 in the morning, and we loaded the sprint car up, and it rained out. So we never quite made it to Bay Park, but it would have been quite a story between me and Michael driving up to go back down to run Bay Park again. So
absolutely. Well, listen, mate, we want to focus on you a little bit. You have been 3NZ 2 seasons in a row, and you must be getting a little frustrated with it, although it is good to have a number on the car. What's changed for you this year, mate? Anything you can tell us about your car, your setup, any engine changes?
We got to run 3 shows in our new package this year with a Spike GRD Chevy in it, and we made good gains on it the 3 nights we got to run on it. We're excited to be able to put the whole deal back together again with some new sponsors on board with Get Glaze and Doric New Zealand on the car, primarily for the midget stuff, where we'll run about 10 shows throughout New Zealand. And I feel like the more we run this car, the better we're going to get. So hopefully by the time we get to the title, we're in fine form and we can go out there and be the best car all weekend.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, you've certainly had a few laps around Ruapuna, and what is it you like about the track, mate? I know you've been complimentary of it in the past, but does this give you a better chance of taking out a title?
I think the amount of laps we get to run down there now is definitely beneficial to racing anywhere. To be able to go down there and have 2 lanes of racing and have something that's up against the fence or up on a curb, you know, it's kind of my racetrack. Like, being able to get up there and rip is what I'm good at, and having a slow roll to bottom or make speed in some other form I struggle with a little bit. So I feel like we'll be suited to that, and running a lot of laps there in the sprint car definitely helps as well. Just going faster in different lines and different points of the race, you can do different stuff. So learning that, running 2 classes definitely helps as well. And between the promotion there, they do a hell of a job of promoting anything, doesn't matter what it is. So, you know, you're always going to get well looked after. Rob and the team there do a heck of a job. So I can't wait to come back down there in December.
Brilliant. I'm going to talk to you about your sprint car career this season very shortly, but AJ, great to have Max Guilford coming down. He's going to do a short campaign before the title itself, and he really showed our drivers how to drive in that South Island Championship last year.
Yeah, and I think unwittingly Max is helping prepare our guys for it as well, because, you know, if someone is starting to give you a bit of a spanking, you want to get close to them, and so he's dragging the South Island guys along, and look, some of those guys go pretty darn well, as we've seen when they've been in the BT Race for Mates and those sorts of events. But our local guys need that sort of exposure. They need the increase in intensity and in pace. And Max Guilford, he's unwittingly doing that and helping our boys out as well. Thanks, Max.
Absolutely. And of course, with the return of Jack Lowe coming back off the campaign last year, it'll be interesting to see how he competes. That high energy racing that you have in the North Island really sharpens you up. And I know that Jack was really pressured last year in a few races, but he performed well. But he's going to be racing here in Christchurch, which we'll talk about a wee bit later. Max, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is your sprint car career. Now, we sort of know you as a sprint car driver these days. In fact, I think it was last year you said you almost prefer the sprint car, but you'll be doing double duty this year. How's your season looking with both cars?
Yeah, our program for the sprint car this year has definitely stepped up. A couple more motors, another car, a trailer to be able to race out of down in the South Island professionally and make a real run at the War of the Wings Championship to compete against Joel and Brennan Crouch that are coming down. So I feel like our sprint car team's now outdone our midget side of things, which is cool, because I never really thought it would get to that point. And to be able to come down and race against the guys down south is something else that we look forward to every year and doing. And to be able to have the High Tools Elite Trailers sprint car down there is awesome. Well, for now we've got some South Island partners. So for a relatively new sprint car team, where I'd say we're on our 2nd year of doing it, I feel like we're right at the pointy end of equipment and being able to race for wins.
Yeah, look, it's going to be exciting for our crowd, because we've actually taken to you, Max. We've had you down here for a season or so, and you've certainly made yourself known to our fans, and we look forward to that season, which is going to be both the midget and the sprint car at Ruapuna. Max, thanks for joining the show. Actually, just before you leave, mate, what's the situation at Western Springs these days? It's a hell of a difficult situation with the season officially starting in February. That just seems so late in the season.
Yeah, you know, it's a bit of hush-hush, I think. Well, not so much hush-hush. People just don't actually know what's happening. The council don't really want to say anything. Promotions with Bruce and John don't really know, or they're not letting on what they want to tell us. And it's kind of, you get to the sprint car title, which is meant to be there on the 17th of February. Well, in my mind, it's a pipe dream. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'd rather them tell us now, and we can prepare to run it somewhere else where it's next year, but Bay Park would be another option they've talked about taking on, or helping Kiki promote it. So if they're going to do that, let's make it cool now, because I know, and several other drivers know, we certainly don't want to go to Waikaraka, which is where they're proposing it. So if we get on to this now and get prepared, we have time to sort it. But if we just leave it like every other year, everyone will bitch and moan and turn up, but we never make a change. So I think we need to get on to that now.
Yeah, it's a real sensitive subject, and plenty of interest from all parties wanting to make sure they can get an outcome, drivers, promoters, track management, and a few others. So we'll watch with interest and see how that all pans out. Hey, thanks for joining the show, Max. Good to see you, mate, and we'll see you when you make your way down here to Christchurch.
Cheers, thank you.
Max Guilford, another personality that's developed over the last few years. We've had some of these out-of-towners, the Stephen Taylors, the Max Guilfords, the Joel Myers, which we're going to talk about later on as well. We've had a good sprinkling of good personalities in the sprint cars and midgets, AJ.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, here's a crowd pleaser. Max is not coming down here to eat hot dogs. And you know, he knows the value of the War of the Wings campaign for a sprint car. The midget, the real value there for him is sort of becoming very, very familiar with how the South Island guys go and the track. So he is going to go into these nationals with one hell of a lot of little bullet points in that notebook. He's going to be primed for this.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't know Max Guilford, he's certainly one to watch out for in the New Zealand midget car title, sponsored by Access Man, and certainly one of the heavyweight runners. Louise, I've got you on the phone. What do you think about our local runners? Who would be your top three to get themselves a number in the midget car title?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of chatter around the North Island. Their midget class is so strong, but as we talked about just before, the elevation of the competition here in Christchurch is so important, or in the South Island, I should say. It's so important. But I think that we do have plenty of guys that are willing to give it a good shot, like Tom Lumsden, Jack Lowe, Liam McCoubre, who we saw move from the TQ class into the midgets and straight away had big success. So I think that those guys will really be looking to put a number on their cars.
Yeah, Liam McCoubre for me is going to be a standout, and being the current Canterbury champion and the Canterbury champion from the previous year in his rookie season, he's done very well. Tom Lumsden would be one to watch. AJ's got that XP4 motor, and he's won up in Harrisville before. What are your thoughts on Tom?
Oh, look, Tom's an absolute talent. You know, starting to get on in years, with the number of years he's been competing. You just go right back through his career, even back to when he took the modified sprint over to Australia and finished second in the Aussie Championship. And he is a guy that, probably hurt him a little starting the season a bit later last year. Do not write Tom Lumsden off. He's a real talent, and he's a big occasion racer too.
Absolutely, and of course the dark horse will be Jack Lowe, racing for City South Van Spears again, and good to see Jack back from his Auckland campaign. I think he'll be sharp and ready to go, and he could really place well in the championship, AJ.
Yeah, he could do, and then we've still got the likes of Ben Morgan. Ben Morgan. He hustled that car around there very well. You know, the midget numbers are starting to build up just nicely. 3 or 4 more would be good, but also they got that City South Van Spears Super Series, and that's going to give the local guys something to strive for, and just add a little bit more bite to what they do too. Absolutely.
So if you like your midget cars, this is the season for you out at Ruapuna, 3rd and 4th of February for the Access Man Midget Car Championship, and the City South Van Spears Super Midget Series is playing over the first 3 meetings at the track as well. Well, if you've been watching Speedway over the last few seasons, you will have come across Driven by Dirt's Media Productions. These videos have been created by Andrew Neru and his company, and Ruapuna have used them from time to time to really capture the essence of what's happening on the track. We might just take a quick look at the War of the Wings video created last year, and then have a catch up with Andrew and see what's happening in his world.
Yeah, well, hello, good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Night 2 of our big sprint car doubleheader. This is the big one. Last night was the warm-up, and by hokey, talk about a warm-up. The Avon Insurance 19th Annual Sprint Car Gold Cup.
impressive stuff. The videos that have been created for Ruapuna Speedway really capture the excitement and the speed of racing around the dirt oval. Well, joining us is Andrew Neru, and welcome aboard, Andrew. You've been doing this gig for a few years now, and you're certainly making a pretty good job of it. What got you started?
Well, we started 4.5 years ago filming at Nelson Speedway, and I think what made it continue was obviously the videos that we were creating. There wasn't much going on in the space of video at the time, so we just pretty much learnt and listened to the audience.
Yeah, it's certainly they're impressive, and everyone looks forward to when they get released. And but I wanted to talk to you about a new innovation that you're creating. It's called the Driven by Dirt Marketplace. Now, I know a lot of our sprint car drivers and midget car drivers are selling merchandise through your website. Can you tell me what that's about, and what's the overall view for you when it comes to the Driven by Dirt Marketplace?
So what's happening with Marketplace is we designed that as an online platform for drivers to be able to sell their merchandise. Having it online means that drivers can sell it 24/7 and make sales essentially when they're sleeping.
Well, it's certainly impressive stuff, as I just mentioned, and you've got a new innovation coming your way. It's called the Driven by Dirt Marketplace. Now, I know some of our drivers are selling some merchandise through you. You host it on your platform, and they can be selling 24/7 is often what you tell me. But what is the Driven by Dirt Marketplace?
So the Driven by Dirt Marketplace is essentially an online platform where drivers can sell their merchandise and also give fans an opportunity to browse the large range that we have.
Okay, well, that's good for the drivers for sure and the fans, but you've got a bigger philosophy in play here, haven't you? I know we've spoken privately about the marketing of Speedway in general, and what are your views on that?
I think with Marketplace, we're obviously able to see the data behind what people are looking at. And that also helps us gauge as to what the interest is and where we can tailor our content towards as well.
Well, I tell you what, Andrew, I know that your philosophy extends to broadly marketing Speedway more in the digital space, and I would say most Speedways aren't that good at doing that so far. I mean, we're all trying, and we're trying to catch up to speed, but the technology is moving so quickly. It seems like Driven by Dirt is coming up with some ways to promote Speedways as well as drivers, which I think is a good thing. But we'll watch your space a little closer and see what some of the developments are. And for those that haven't experienced Driven by Dirt, you can catch up with Andrew's website at drivenbydirt.com, and that'll give you a quick insight into what's going on. Now, I know you've been quite dedicated over the last number of years and really thrown some resource into this, and we hope you can get some traction on the platform there, Andrew, but it certainly looks like it's going pretty well at the moment.
Thanks, Craig. Looking forward to pushing forward.
Time to move on to the Pro Ben preview, and tonight we'll look at opening night at the Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Ruapuna Speedway. AJ, we've got the first part of the Summer Slam, the Daltons Summer Slam. What can we expect there?
I think it's going to be like a prelude to a really good season for the sprint cars. Last year's champion, Connor Rangi, he'll hit the track absolutely running. You've got the Duffs. Really looking forward to seeing the Sheriff Jaden Dodge. He's signed up to Christchurch this year. Then we've got 3 new boys joining the sprint car class as well, and they're names that are very familiar with us. We've got Dylan Forsey, Kyle Glover and Chris Gemmett, who will probably jump off the water truck back into the sprint car and so on. So, it's going to be busy, and then let's just keep tracking the progress of the likes of Oscar Harcourt and Bailey Patterson, who towards the end of last season really started impressing. So, yeah, it's going to be a very hard-fought series.
Yeah, well, look, the Daltons Sprint Car Summer Slam was established a few years ago now, and as you said before, it was Connor Rangi that took it out last year. I think Dave Kerr got second. Not quite sure who got third there. But joining the show is Connor Rangi, and Connor, it's getting close to the start of the season for you, mate. You must be excited. How's your car preparations going for the first event on the 4th of November, which will be the Daltons Sprint Car Summer Slam?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. The car's, getting close to being ready. There's just a few small jobs to finish off, and we'll be ready to hit the ground running, hopefully.
Well, it's been a stellar career for you, mate, and it's all been capped off with this wonderful sponsorship you've received from Daltons over the last couple of seasons. I think it's the last 3 seasons. Any changes for you guys this year? Anything new happening in the camp?
Not too much happening. We've obviously kept Daltons for another year and got a new look car this season, which I'm excited about. A few other small sponsors have come on board. So second year with this package, so really looking forward to getting out there and seeing how we go.
Well, look, you can probably inform us, mate. We heard that your teammate Jonathan Allard had a tumble in America recently. What's the update on Jonathan? He is the other Dalton-sponsored driver. Yeah,
unfortunately, Jonathan had a crash and he's got a couple of fractured vertebrae in his back, so I'm unsure how long he'll be out for. I guess that's sort of for him to figure out and see when he's ready to come back, but no doubt he'll come back and he'll be rearing to go. I know that for sure.
Yeah, he's super competitive as Jonathan Allard, and of course we watched him with the Gold Cup and the Sprint Car title last year. Disappointment in the Sprint Car title. He was leading it there for the first 10 or 12 laps before that car expired. But what's your plans this year, mate? You're a good driver. We know you're registered to Nelson, but what's the plans this year? How will you target the season? I'm sure the Sprint Car Summer Slam might be on the list to defend.
Yeah, we'll definitely try and back that up this year. For us, it's basically just about trying to hit all the big shows at Ruapuna. There's plenty of them. And then there's a couple in Nelson to go to. I guess it's all building up towards sort of the end of the year, really, in April, where we have the Grand Prix and a couple of other big races like the Gold Cup, Salute to Goody. So I'd love to win the Gold Cup. We finished second last year, so to go one better's definitely the ultimate goal for this season.
Nice. Well, look, you've certainly got the crowd on your side. We love watching that 57N car going round. You had some thoughts about going to America as well. We spoke off camera this week. What's your thoughts on getting over to the States? I'm sure you'd go pretty well over there.
Yeah, I definitely want to try and get over there in the next couple of years, whether it be driving or crewing on a team. It's valuable experience. If we can get over there and work on some race cars and just learn, really, and we can bring that back here and then potentially try and eventually get a drive over there is obviously the ultimate for anybody in sprint car racing.
Yeah, good stuff. And what's your thoughts on these Americans coming over, mate? Joel Myers Jr. is returning, and this guy Brenham Crouch is also going to be competing for the War of the Wings title. What are your thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. They're young and raring to go, so it's pretty cool. Joel was here last year, obviously, and it was awesome to race against him. He's a great driver, and Brennan's much the same, very fast. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to have them here, to see how we stack up against them, and hopefully we can give them a run.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining the show there, Connor. Good to get your insights into the upcoming season, and we'll look out for your car travelling around the track at Ruapuna. Great to have Connor Rangi back at the track. He's really a local lad, isn't he? He lives down here, but he just registers that car to Nelson.
Oh yeah, the routes with Nelson are they're permanent. But when Connor said that he finished second in last year's Gold Cup, and it'd be nice to see forward. I actually get the feeling that with Connor Rangi, a big win is just around the corner. It's not a matter of if, it is when. And he's a guy that, from getting out of mini stock straight into sprint cars, he was fast and he showed some real form. And as years go by, he's honed that style. He knows how to drive the thing fast. There's no doubt about that. And he's brave. And also, he's got Jonathan Allard just sort of tutoring him in the background and giving him those tips. And he's an exciting prospect.
Well, time to announce our competition win from last week. And of course, those that were on the Facebook page will remember this image. It was a picture of David Kerr and his sprint car getting it all around the wrong way in the New Zealand Sprint Car Championship. So the competition was, put a caption to this. If you got the best caption, you'll win a couple of double passes to opening night. And we narrowed down the top 3 there, Louise. What have you got for us?
Yes, there's plenty of great options, but our top 3 were Fraser Dunsmuir with More Power Captain Kirk, which is very creative. Yeah. Brad Catamol, I'd like to speak to you about your race car's extended warranty. And Chris Gemmett, our very own Chris Gemmett with, oh, you're from the north, that's cute, I'm from Hazard County, yeehaw, which is very Dave Kerr-esque, which is great. So the winner was More Power Captain Kirk.
Yeah, Fraser Dunsmuir, congratulations to you, mate. A great comment there. Short and sweet. You take away the 2 double passes to opening night. How you'll collect those is we'll have them at the public gate for you. Just bring some ID down there, mate, and that'll get 2 families into opening night. So a bit of fun there with the caption this competition, and it's a real indicator, isn't it? 122 responses to that competition, AJ. Certainly the fans really enjoy what's happening at Ruapuna.
Oh yeah, it's outstanding. You know, it gets the buy-in from all parties. You know, the club appreciates that. You know, we're getting the support, and you know, gives the race fans that sort of connection with the competitors and so on. It's still the best kept secret in Christchurch.
Yeah, well, it's not quite the secret as it used to be. Certainly, plenty of people turning up on Saturday nights for a night of fast, high-octane racing and entertainment. So November the 4th is the day you want to pencil in for opening night and get your family down there. Well, look, the big news for Ruapuna Speedway is that we've got 2 Americans coming to the track, and Joel Myers Jr. returns to defend his War of the Wings title, and Brenham Crouch, a new driver to Ruapuna, will be travelling to the track to see if he can do battle with our best drivers. Joining us on the line is Joel Myers Jr. Good to see you there, Joel, and you're currently travelling to Tulare for the 360 Trophy Cup. When is it that we can expect you over here at Ruapuna?
Yeah, I believe me and Brenham will be flying over end of November. I think our first race is the first weekend in December with the Daltons race at Ruapuna. So definitely looking forward to getting back over to New Zealand and showing Brenham around. And hopefully we have some good battles for you guys.
Now, you guys, an interesting fact, you were flatting together just recently, so you know each other pretty well. The obvious question is, mate, who's the better driver?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's better than me at some racetracks, and then there's sometimes where I can beat him. We had some really good battles over the last couple months in the Midwest. You have to do a lot of racing together, and yeah, excited to be able to race throughout New Zealand with him as well.
Well, listen, mate, you've got some big fans over here, and we put some postings up recently, and a lot of chatter about you guys coming over here. What are some of your best memories of being here in New Zealand?
Yeah, last year, obviously, we had a phenomenal season, winning every War of the Wings race we had entered in. Unfortunately, missed one, and but yeah, just like seeing the scenery and everything else over in New Zealand, and everybody's treats you a lot better than over here in California, that's for sure. But yeah, it was just awesome being over there, and can't wait to get back.
Okay, and I know Daniel Anderson's picking up most of the expense again for you. That's a great relationship you've got with Daniel, and Kevin Freeman looking after Brenham Crouch, but you guys will be living together. Is that the arrangement at Daniel's place?
Yeah, I believe so. So me and Brenham will be living together as well over there. So that'll be nice, and gonna show him around. You know, since this is my second year now coming back, so can't thank Daniel enough. Freeman, actually, Leighton, Brenham's dad, reached out to me last year when I was still over there, saying he wanted to get Brenham over there racing, and I was talking to Freeman about trying to find something, and then just a couple months later, Freeman had texted me asking if Brenham was still interested. So yeah. We're fortunate enough to work everything out, and Samba taking a year off. Glad to see he's doing way better, and yeah, I feel like it's going to be really great for the sport over there, and go from there.
All right, well look, Joel, great to see your face again, mate. There's plenty of people that can't wait to see you at Christchurch, or at Ruapuna I should say, and that War of the Wings Championship is yours again to defend, and we look forward to you joining us at the track sometime. Well AJ, great to see Joel Myers Jr. returning back to Christchurch, and Daniel Anderson's done a hell of a job bringing him over the last couple of years, and Brenham Crouch.
Yeah, very, very exciting. And, you know, Joel is driven by retaining that Hydrolink War of the Wings title. Brenham is really, really keen to take it back to Texas as well. And, you know, the Hydrolink War of the Wings is a very good fit for those young Americans because they're coming over here racing against drivers that are, you know, of a good standard, a good local standard in the USA. If they went to Australia, you know, they're up against the rock stars and perhaps they just fade into the background just a little. But they also get to race a variety of tracks that we've got as well. So, you know, bring it on.
I think you're right. Those drivers like Joel Myers Jr. can go back with something, a trophy, a championship, and talk about it when they get home. And I'm sure his driving's improved again this year.
Yeah, well, it's increased the profile of the series as well. You know, the Americans are starting to follow it. You look at the streaming audiences, and there's more and more Americans that are hooking into the streaming. And likewise, it works the other way around because we were all looking at the results to see how Joel Myers Jr. was going this year. It's a win-win-win.
Yeah, well, it carries on a wonderful tradition at Ruapuna Speedway. We've had Buddy Coforth here, we've had Joel Myers a couple of times, and now we've got Brenham Crouch arriving, all thanks to Freeman Motorsport. Well, look, folks, that's the end of the show. My thanks to Louise and AJ for joining us, and our new sponsors that have come on board. Of course, that's Daltons Landscape Supplies, CB Caravans and RV Centre, and Elite Roofing. That's Mike Bell and his crew. So thanks again, folks, for joining the show, and until next time, keep your foot up it.